I'm going to edit it all on. Here's one of the things want to let you know my girls will be there tonight. Okay. Dawn and I will be there just for a little bit, part of it. I think I'm going to take her up to dinner, and then I'm going to see her all the day after church, and then we'll come out for a little while, and then I've got to do all the church tomorrow. I wanted to come out. Let's go that so, yeah.
Did you guys notice in your box lunch that you had 2 gift cards?
I did.
Yeah, you know what I got? I got a whole box of them.
And Carl was nice enough to give me.
Not me.
Oh, no, Matt did. Yeah, right. Matt.
I'm not nice enough.
Matt knows. Oh, yeah. Matt knows how. See, he did. Yeah. Actually, Amy did re-give him then. Yeah.
We told me you should have 4, so we should call family.
Yeah.
Now you can take your wife out.
Jen is like the goodie bag lady. She's like,
What can you use us for?
right.
I think we're going to give them to the kids in the first day of Sunday school.
So is that part of the deal, is you're going to leave
Give it to fuel?
I didn't know they were giving it to
You are right
us.
there.
I didn't know they were going to be in the box, because I opened my lunch and I'm like,
You're right.
Yeah.
Saying it's by Jennifer.
With the same price?
Sure, right, all mine.
Is different?
I don't know, I've never had their box
For
lunch
catering,
before.
did they give them to you?
Yes.
For catering.
I don't know, it wasn't part of our catering. I know when they catered for the VBS dinner this summer, and they gave us 2 boxes of them. And we just handed them all to the people as they came out of worship. They each got one of these.
Could be because it's a
I wonder what the
church.
taste-
It could be. Oh, yeah.
Had it on
Yeah,
there.
because I.
That Chick-fil-A in Kil, and you have to use them at the Chick-fil-A in Kildare. You have to use them at that Chick-fil-A. Those people are fantastic. Those owners there, if you ever do anything, or you need a meal for anything, and they're really great, they said, you know, if you know people that are in need, we A, do fundraisers, and B, you know, it's like single moms or anything, they need some food, contact us and we'll get them food.
Wow.
He said that they have a budget every month that they put aside for service projects. And he said, and sometimes, you know, if you hit us at the end of the month, we've spent it already, but if you have a specific need in mind, we will go out of our way to help and whatever you need. So they're very great. They're very wonderful. In fact, I went in the day after we had our VBS dinner to use my little gift card, and they were there, and they're like, "Oh no, lunch is on us today. You don't pay for anything. We'll pay for your meal for you." Oh, I should have the whole family with me.
I'll take the left side of the
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't say enough about that. They're really great. And there are more sandwiches there. So if you want another sandwich, there's more boxes that have more gift cards. So there you go. Just leave it
We're in
out there. And I have books over here for junior high leaders. Who are my junior high leaders in here? Me.
Oh, me too.
Jenny, I've got.
I know, I heard.
I have one leg in the Ignite and one leg in Fuel. And I'm trying.
Fuel!
You
I said, I got a cough. Fuel! You're gonna hurt me.
You know.
Okay, well, welcome back after lunch. Please don't fall asleep. I knew you were. So, after lunch, we're going to go through Fuel and Ignite. We kind of started putting together a little bit of stuff for emblems for Fuel and Ignite, and we kind of came up with this one for Fuel. You have the Fuel Youth Ministry with the flaming cross, sort of that being the fuel that gets it going. If you don't like it, that's okay. What?
Wearing the cross.
We'll be wearing the white hoods.
I'll put that on the website.
Take a look at page 9. And we put together kind of a small job description for you, so you kind of knew what we're looking at, what you need, what we're focused here on, and what your responsibilities are. Qualifications are very simple. Have a heart for the Lord. Be a member of Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in Palatine, Illinois. Have a heart for the people and age group that you are ministering to. View your volunteer position as a joyful expression of the Christian faith, and always be spirit-filled, team-orientated, and people-focused. Those are your qualifications. Your responsibilities. I normally don't say the word duty, but your responsibilities are to lead and teach the group of people you are helping. Show those that you are leading that you love them for who they are and what they offer the kingdom of God. You attend training and support sessions to help you in your ministry at Prince of Peace. You keep your ministry area leader informed. That's you guys. You stay informed about what is happening and what help you need. In other words, you're going to communicate with me, and I'm going to communicate with you. What do you need, and how can I help you, and vice versa. And then be a living witness for all the people you contact in your ministry area. And if you want to put a caveat on that, in your ministry area and outside. It sounds like a fairly simple job description, but it's also a very in-depth one. We want to make sure that you are vested in this, which, as I look around the room, you all have children in this age group. So yes, you are vested in this ministry. I don't want this to scare you, but I want you to understand how incredibly important we feel this ministry area is. This is a foundational block. Children's ministry is the first. Junior high Ignite is the second. Senior high Fuel is the third. If those foundation blocks are put into place, when they go off to college and aren't around, that foundation will stay. And that's how important these three areas are. Now, I'm not standing up here hopefully giving you terrible news, you're horrified, and you're like, no, that's not what we're looking for, but I want you to understand how incredibly serious we take this. Any questions on the job description? I deal in job descriptions. So I try to give you what I expect, and I hope in turn that you know exactly what's coming. So what does the ministry look like? Fuel will look like this, kind of. We'll have a student leadership team. We'll have an adult leadership team. We will do mentoring, and then we will do Sunday night Fuel. Okay? We will get to Ignite in a minute. So if you're planning to lead Ignite, we'll show you what that is. And for those of you who are on the fence, Fuel is better.
I'm taking those good parts back.
The white piece of paper, I'd like to have you go back to this white piece of paper that I handed out at the beginning. As you can see, for the SALT team, we will meet 4 times a year. And this is basically every quarter, or prior to every quarter, we will meet to talk about what's upcoming. The reason that we're not going to meet every week is because, A, there's a lot going on that both I'm involved with, the youth are involved with, but we want to make sure that they're still leaders. So what we're planning to do is have them meet 4 times, several weeks before we have a big event coming up, and that way they can help in the planning, the processing, and so on and so forth of the event. And then we will meet after late service, and we'll provide lunch for them so they can see that. The adult leadership team. What? You look confused.
Is this the, so there's SALT, oh, here's SALT. And
Yeah.
And then this is us.
Yeah, that's you, and then I have the young adult leadership team.
Got it.
And then the white handout also at the bottom is the young adult leadership team, or the youth adult leadership team. And we have the 28th, which is the parent meeting, and then you'll notice it's every Monday, November 27th, January 23rd, March 19th, and May 8th. It's the Monday after the SALT team meets. And the reason we're doing that is because SALT can then talk, and then we as adults can talk, and we kind of know what's going on. So it's a nicer, easier transition, and you're not bogged down with meeting every month or every other month. It's something very feasible that we can all stomach and take hold of. Questions on that? Awesome. I'd like to put your focus on page 10 in your booklet. we are going to start something new. I know it's been kind of done here, but we want to make this a major focus of the ministry area for Ignite and Fuel for junior high and senior high youth, and it's a mentoring program. The plan is to pull in senior high and college age youth to come and help with junior high and senior high ministry, or what they can be part of. Here's why. Before you start questioning it, the reason we do this is because if a junior higher, 7th or 8th grader, has a connection with a senior high youth, they are more likely to join senior high youth ministry. They're more likely to join Fuel. If they have a college person who is coming down to help them in the senior high, the Fuel area, and the Ignite area, they are more than likely to stay involved in Prince of Peace. And the great thing about Prince of Peace, the most interesting thing about Prince of Peace, is that your children come back when they're done with school. That is not the case nationwide. And so when your children come back, they're in the area, they come back to church because they're still connected. And that's what we're looking to start. We're going to be very intentional about this. I think I told the adult leaders group, I've done mentoring in a past church. The norm is if you can keep 25% of your confirmands involved in youth ministry, you are exceptional as a youth leader. When I left Omaha, because of the mentoring program, we were keeping anywhere from 46 to 55% of our confirmands. The other 45 or more that were not that weren't there, they either moved or they were one and doneers. You know, they come for 2 years and they were done. You hadn't seen them until 7th grade, and there was no way of grabbing them. And some of them, the kids wanted to come back, and parents didn't see the need. And the more you talk to the parents, the more they put up a wall. So this is the goal, is that this ministry will then expand our senior high ministry, which then expands the college ministry, which then expands into the young adult ministry. You see how this is a building area, and it just keeps growing and growing. This is not an overnight fix. It takes years to do. But if you take a look at page 10 under the mentoring program, qualifications are the same as the adult leaders, teachers, chaperones, so we're not going to read that. But their responsibilities. They assist in leading and teaching the group of people you are helping. Notice the key word there is assist. They are not there to teach. They are there to develop relationships unless they are needed to teach. And we'll talk about that. Develop relationships with the youth they are leading, become involved in the life of the youth, and as they grow in their faith, they send cards to the youth, they pray for the youth, they attend youth events. They show those they are leading that they love them, and they want them to be part of the kingdom of God. They attend the trainings, they keep their ministry area leaders informed, so they stay in contact with the group leader, and they are a living witness. This is not just for high schoolers and college age, though, either. We would love to expand this into older adult ministry, make it intergenerational. So every confirmand, and I think we've talked about this, every confirmand would have an adult from the congregation who would be their mentor. And so as they are confirmed, they, at the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, or however that works, they are introduced to their mentor, and it doesn't have to be identified like that. And then that mentor writes them a card. That mentor goes to their football games, their choir performances, their drama performances, and stays in contact with them throughout their high school and junior high life. I tell this story when I talk about mentoring. Kurt Kolmus is his name. Kurt Kolmus was a volunteer at a church that I served at. He was the mentor for Steve Gedwell as an 8th grader, as a 7th grader. Wrote him a card every couple of months. When he was confirmed, he took him out for a soda pop, just to talk. Kurt stayed in contact with him through high school. Kurt was involved in the high school ministry. Steve graduated from high school. Kurt took him out for soda and dinner when they got done with high school. Wrote him every day while he was at college, every day, meeting every couple of months. They stayed in contact, he'd come back, they'd socialize, maybe go out for a soda once or twice a year. Kurt was the biggest part of his ministry, staying in ministry in his life. Kurt was the biggest part of his faith walk, to the point, and this includes his parents, to the point that Kurt stood up at the wedding and helped in the wedding. That's what a mentoring program can do. And Steve stayed with the church all that time. Steve's not a member of the church that he was at, but he's still a member at the church. And he and his wife are living their faith in everything they do. The mentoring program is a very vital part of the ministry, and can be and will be, hopefully, a greater thing than just a, hey, let's play. The high schoolers and the college youth, if we do junior high events that we can cross over, lots of times we like to bring them down. This way, your high schoolers can hang out still in a religious format, but they're viewed as leaders. We used to do lock-ins, and the junior high youth would be separated into teams, and the senior high youth would be a leader, so 1 or 2 per team. And if they had a problem, I would step in and get to be the heavy. But for the most part, there weren't problems because the junior hires wanted to impress the senior hires, and the senior hires were okay with being leaders, and it ended up being just a great time. So keep that in mind as we do this program. It's going to take time to develop, take time to grab hold of, take time to grow. But when it does, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be a dandelion where the leaves get to blow, and it's going to be pretty phenomenal. Any questions on the mentoring? I can't talk that up enough, and if you can't see it, I do have goosebumps because I love this part of the ministry so very much. Sunday Night Fuel, take a look at page 8. Now, I say take a look at page 8, and as you can see on the screen, things have changed since the book was published. So see the yellow sheet. Page 8 gives you kind of an example, but the yellow sheet gives you a look as to what we are doing for Sunday nights. Sunday Night Fuel is going to look different and the same. When we look at Fuel, this is how the layout of the evening, at least what I'm envisioning, is going to happen. We're going to have an opening activity. It will go along with the theme for the night. In fact, they're all in the lessons, and we'll get to the lessons and I'll show you how this all works out. Then we'll have a ministry time, which will do songs, which will do introduction of a theme and announcements. It's very similar to what has been going on. Then we'll have a small group time, and we'll finish up with a large group game. As you can see, we'll do the gathering and the opening game at 9. Then we'll do the opening, the gathering, the ministry worship time, if you want to call it that, at 6:45. So just 15 minutes for the opening. At 7:05, that gives us 20 minutes for that, if it takes that long. We will break out for small groups, and we will gather back together at 7:50 for a large group time or large area game, and then we will close with prayer at 8:30, and then the youth will be sent on their way. I know this is a half hour later. There are certain things that I'm very passionate about. One is I like to have family or dinner with my family every night around our table, or when we're out to eat, or at Chick-fil-A. And so when I say that, that's something that I hold very dear. And so when we say we're going to start at 6:30, we will. That gets me here at 6 o'clock. We usually eat between 5 and 5:30, so it gives me time to have dinner with my family and then get here. So I hope everybody is okay with that. If you're not, see me and I can explain more about why my wife and kids are so important. That's how it will look. Any questions on how this evening breaks down?
Are you going to go into how the small group time will be laid out separately?
Yep, we will get into that. There are other nights, so these are the large group nights. And if you take a look at the blue handout, it gives you kind of the layout of the calendar for Fuel. And this gets to your question, Carl. Small groups will also meet in homes. There will be certain nights of the month, Sunday nights, where we will meet outside of the church, just in a small group setting. I've heard some pushback on this, and here's why. Here's why I think this is so very beneficial. A, people get tired of seeing an individual stand up there and tell them and then always being here. Change of venue is good. And intimacy is very good in a small group and in a teaching session. Now, this is only for Fuel. This is not for Ignite. Only for this. So, when we leave and go to the homes for small group, what we're doing is we're saying those 6 to 8 to 12 youth that are meeting are growing closer with each other, which is relational ministry, which is what I'm very, very, very focused on. It's also about growing as a group where you can be real with each other and authentic with one another, but also in a way where the people in the group, the leaders in the group, understand you better, and you as a leader can grow closer to your youth and vice versa. That doesn't get rid of the mass group events, which we'll have at least once a month, so that all the youth can come together and have fun, because I just bought 20 laser tag guns, and that has to be done at least once a month. But, things like that. So we have a couple of things happening all at once. The intimacy of a group is important. You can't reach that kind of intimacy when you're here. You'll have too many people running around, and even though you're in a separate room, there's still that idea that there's still other people here. When you do that in a home, you can have grandma's cookies and just sit down and really get to the nuts and bolts of it. These nights for small groups will be group study time. You'll have some relational building time. There'll be fun. There'll be team building activities. That's how the lessons are created. You'll have those 4 components in every lesson. And with that, you get authenticity. And in the home meetings, you'll have deeper discussion, intimacy, and there's safety in the numbers, as we've already said. Any questions on that?
So right now you don't have a set schedule like you do for the large group night?
Yes, it's on that blue sheet. We're going to get to the calendar here in just a second.
No, I mean like you had a set time schedule here for the large group meeting?
Oh, yeah.
For the small group meeting?
Is that up to the people?
That's up to the people. We're going to encourage them to stay on a Sunday night, and the lessons will be laid out that if you say we start at 6:30, they'll be laid out in a way that they'll understand that. And I probably should have done the lesson first and then gone into how everything breaks down, but I think the lessons last. That way nobody ran away. So I think it'll all make sense when we get to the lesson part of it.
Okay, got it.
Jenny,
Oh, is that me?
it's you.
All right.
You ignited.
I'm ignited. Yay. I graduated from Pop Kids Tonight. Oh, do you have slides for me?
Mhm.
Oh.
I have this one, I know.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'll fix it. All right, so Wednesday night, Ignite, yes, we have made the move to Wednesday night. That's after looking at a lot of the schools in the area and noticing that a lot of their activities are on Tuesday or Thursday night. A couple parents last year made known to me that in District 15, all their track meets and sports events are on Tuesday, Thursday. So we made the move. It's interesting because I've had people go, oh, I can't do Wednesday. And then there are other people who are like, oh, thank God you moved it because now I couldn't do Tuesday. So there's never going to be a magic night that's gonna fit everyone. So we're on Wednesday night. We're just moving to Wednesday night. So Wednesday nights are very similar to what we've done in the past. We'll start at 6 o'clock, have the kind of pizza time, open gym, video games. There were students that were missing the video games last year, so we'll pull the video games back out. We will have the large group activity. We're doing very similar lessons, and that's why I gave you this separate book, because mine are prettier. Mine are in color. No. And so really what we're trying to do is we're starting off in a large group game. And the game is to really get, first of all, to get some of the activity out of their blood. And the second thing is just to introduce them to the theme. So it's not just some random, oh, let's play this game. It actually has something to do with the lesson. There will be there will not be a huge like half hour, 45-minute teaching time because that's not really productive for students. And really what I want them to do is I will spend some time saying, this is the direction of what we're doing. Thank you. This is the direction of where we're going. These are key things that I want you to look for when you're doing your Bible readings, and then giving them over to their small group time, and you guys have at it. Reading the lessons, discerning it. I feel that students take more ownership of something if they have time to discover it, versus me saying, this is what you need to think. Obviously that there are some truths that we want them to come away with, and that will come out in that discovery process. But we really want them to start asking questions and taking ownership of stuff. So there will be that small group time, so that really that ministry time should be under, but that's okay. I just agree. And then at the very end, in some instances, and you'll see it in your curriculum, we will come back and do a game to kind of tie everything up at the end. But the largest portion of the time will be for students in their small groups. It's a great time for them to make those connections, and we're even doing, throughout children's ministry, really working towards getting those relationships formed. So I just had this conversation with my children's ministry leaders in that there's a pattern that kids have as they're developing, and they're slowly working from, you know, I'm playing next to you, to I'm playing with you, to, oh, I know your name, to starting in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade going, oh, I know more than your name, now I know where you go to school, and those kind of things. And so that by the time they get into 6th grade, and they're in Ignite, they already have some of those basic relationships started. So it's like, oh, I know you. You know, you were in my Pop Kids class, and you go to Central Road School, and you know, yada, yada, yada. So they've got that going. So we're really very purposefully laying that groundwork. So we're connecting these ministries one to the other so that they naturally flow into one another. I think this mentoring program is going to be fantastic. Again, it's not the students that are doing the leading, but it's the adult that is mentoring the student, so that in some cases, maybe the student can take point in leading a lesson with the guidance of an adult. But it won't be like, oh, Mandita's got this whole group all to herself and she's leading the lesson. I mean, we don't want to put a student in a position like that unless they're a real high-level leader and they're ready to do that. Most high school students aren't at that point, but we want to make sure that they're partnered with a good leader, and I just think that's going to be great for the relationships with the students to have that high school person there with them. So, and I don't know if you go into any more slides on this. It's kind of like an overview of questions. So I'll go forward from here and kind of give you an overview of Ignite Youth Ministry and what it looks like, because it has been going through some growing and what we're doing and kind of switching things up a little bit. So the goal of junior youth ministry has always been confirmation. It's always been that carrot that's kind of been dangled. You know, you go through these 3 years and this is like your prize at the end to get to confirm your faith. And so we're really looking at it more of not, this is your prize, but this is like, this is something, sorry, my brain just, we're constantly growing and constantly reaffirming, this is what I believe. This is really one of their first opportunities where they're going to stand up front and say, this is what I believe. Do they know everything about the Christian faith? Probably not. But our goals for Ignite is your primary learning time is worship. Worship is all of our primary learning times. Everything on top of worship is gravy. Worship is our primary learning time. Ignite on Wednesday night is second. We will go over what we're doing in worship. But that second to worship, the two of them will obviously work hand in hand. Obviously, especially now since we're all on the same page, they work very well together. And then we have this other class that we're doing for students who say, yeah, I'm ready, I think I want to stand up and make a profession of faith. At whatever age that they say that they're ready, we're not going to say, oh, you're in 8th grade, you better be confirming your faith. We think that it could be as early as 7th grade, but we're really trying to encourage people to do 8th grade if they can, but every child is different. It's up to every parent and every child to determine when they want to do it. But as part of that, the parents and the students are going to take this class together. It's not a 10-week confirmation class. It's not a 10-week confirmation program. This is a supplement in addition to what we're doing in worship and what we're doing on Wednesday night. You can take this class in the fall of your 7th grade year and not confirm your faith until the spring of your 8th grade year. That's totally up to each family to determine. Again, it's not a 10-week confirmation class. This is something where we determined last year after having our 1-year confirmation class with parents and students that went very well, knowing A, we need to have parents involved, but B, there's also times when we need the students by themselves. And so trying to find that magic time and that magic balance. So parents and students are going to go through this book called Getting to Know Jesus. This is really going to go into the heart of the 6 chief parts of the catechism. Is this the only time that we cover the catechism? Absolutely not. But this is a way that we're encouraging parents to get on the same page as their kids and start having conversations at home. So this is part of the whole preparation for them to stand up and confirm their faith. But it's not the whole part. So worship, Wednesday night, this parent-student class, all work together to help students grow in their walk of faith and learn to be disciples of Christ. Along with, that sounds like a cult, disciples of Christ. Or like we should have leather jackets or something. I think that would be awesome. Totally doing that, yeah. With a big red cross on it with a flame. That would be awesome.
There you go.
Because that's the whole point of it. The whole point is not to stand up at the altar in April with a pretty white robe on and a flower, and you're graduated and now I'm done. I graduated from church. The idea is that they get integrated in the faith community, that their identity and their faith is not borrowed from their parents, but they've claimed it as their own, and they've taken ownership. And they see that because of what Christ has done for me, now I can go and do for others. And so that's really what we're really cultivating at this age, that then as they go into high school, they continue that growing process, because we are all still continually growing in our walk of Christ. So this is just a time where we're having just some really intense learning. We'll celebrate their confirmation when they do it, and then we'll get right back on and we'll just keep learning and just keep growing, because it is definitely not the end. It's just the middle of what's happening. So, any questions about that?
Just to confirm,
Yeah.
pun intended. 6 o'clock is when it starts though. 6:30 is when the group time starts?
Yeah, 6:30 is when the big game is going to happen. So if you can't be here till 6:30 with your schedule, that's fine. We are seriously very, like, the 3 of you that are in this room, and I'm counting you, Annie, because you originally said we were going to do junior high. Like, that's all we have for junior high. So if we don't have more leaders, there's a chance we might not start on September 13th or whenever it is that we're supposed to start, because I want to make sure that we're fully staffed. And I don't want to, I'm not saying that to go like, oh, well, you're going to go to junior high because they're going to need you. But realistically, you know, the month of April last year, I did Ignite by myself. I think there was one where we welcomed the junior high kids that Dan was there, and I think Dave Sobel was there, but by and large, for about a month, I was the only adult, and I'm like, can't do that, can't, you know. Like, we need to have a good team, and we have no shortage of people that are very passionate about student ministry. We've heard from them, they're very passionate, but we need to get boots on the ground, and we need to get people that are willing to say, you know, I'm passionate enough about this that I want to get some skin in the game, and I want to make sure that this is a great program for our kids. And that's really what I'm looking at, is people going, this is important enough to me that I want to spend some time delving into it. So, you know, keep praying for those people. If you know somebody that, you know, you can give a little encouragement to, just say, hey, you know, I think this might be a great fit for you, or come alongside me and do it with me, or whatever. I mean, we would love that. Matt and I are both reaching out to lots of people, and it can be very discouraging getting a lot of no's, and we've been doing a lot of headbanging and just trying to figure out, you know, again, there's no shortage of passion, but there's a lot of shortage of boots on the ground, so. Yeah.
I was wondering if, Matt was saying earlier about, and I think this is a point that gets lost on a lot of parents, is because we're in, you know, especially those in the room, you're in a season of parenting where you're in the midst of so many, you know, scheduled collisions, and how do you get families of faith to put youth ministry in pen on their calendar and not in pencil? And then not only that, come alongside the kids, grow with the kids, facilitate for them. And I think so often leaders just have this sense, you know, because the devil's good, you're inferior, you're not capable, you're not qualified.
Yeah.
And it's that whole concept of you don't have to be light years ahead of them, you just have to be one step ahead of them.
Right,
And
right.
getting that message out to people, because I know that I was intimidated when I started to be a leader, and I had friends around me saying, are you kidding? Oh my gosh, you know this. But it doesn't matter what you know, it's how do I impart that and do so in a way where I'm not teaching and preaching, but that
Right.
resonates with the kids.
Right.
So if there's a way for us to figure out how we can come together, do some messaging to demystify it and make it more approachable and exciting for them.
Well, I think there's sometimes there's a stigma too when you say small group leader, like, no, that's not me, I can't do that. And I think there's a kind of a misunderstanding about what that means and what that all entails. When, you know, it is a serious thing. I mean, you're talking about making people afraid. I did that to my POW Kids leaders too. I mean, this is a cornerstone of our church. If children's ministry and student ministry dies, Prince of Peace dies. I mean, that's how serious it is. I mean, churches across the world are dying because they don't have a good children's or student ministry, because the church is just aging and they're not growing disciples. And so it is a serious thing. And I think part of it too is that, you know, the mindset has been, and not just for this generation, but for generations before, it's something that I bring my kids to church to, and somebody else is going to do that. I mean, I know when I went to confirmation at Emmanuel, it was a group of 30 kids and one teacher. And he just stood up there and, you know, read the catechism. And so I think there's not an awareness of how many people it actually takes to do a ministry like this. It can't be a one-person thing. And, you know, I think that, you know, if we can get more parents and more people involved, and I'd love to get more parents of people whose kids are one stage ahead. You know, they're empty nesters. You know, my kids are out of the house, but I can come aside a family of people who their kids are in high school and say, you're going to get through this. I know you're going through this kind of awkward stage, but then your kids are going to graduate, and yeah, it's going to be a struggle, but then this is what life is going to look like for you. Or for a parent whose kids are in junior high and struggling through that awkwardness, having a family of, you know, they've got high schoolers going, yeah, the junior high years really stink, but you're going to get beyond that, and this is what it's going to look like, and have that encouragement there. So I think it's just a mindset that we have to change and go, this isn't something that you drop your kids off and someone else does, but it's something that you invest your time in to make sure that it's something that we all can benefit from. So I think I know Pastor C is gonna do as part of worship services next week, because next week is really kind of the kickoff to the Sharing Christ piece when it's first gonna be introduced. Pastor C, I'm sorry, Pastor Carl. Why did I say that? Gosh, it's been on
We knew
for
what
3
you meant.
years. Pastor Carl. And really imploring to him, because I had this conversation with him the other day at lunchtime, saying, Matt and I are really struggling to get people to recognize that, this is a big deal, and so, he is gonna make a plea, and I hate to do the desperation, recruitment, because I don't want people to go, well, why is it that nobody wants to volunteer, But on the other hand, sometimes I get the best leaders from doing that, because sometimes it takes people to go, well, if nobody else is gonna do it, I guess I'll step up and do it. But, we're kind of at the point where, okay, nobody else is doing it. So, and that might get some new people involved. So he's gonna do a time of recognizing people that are involved and then really putting the, we need to get some boots on the ground and skin the game and, how can you be a part of this? So hopefully that might, light a fire, and just continue to pray that, God will pull the right people. And it's so funny because everybody's like, well, God's going to provide. I'm like, okay, yeah, he is, but it would be nice to know now who those people are. But again, it's his timing. But
Have we thought as a program to maybe, is it people's unwillingness to commit weekly, because maybe it's first and third weeks in the month that we meet as to lighten the load on everyone, or?
Well, I think we've both talked about it. What we'd love to do is have 2 leaders per group. So basically, you're only on the hook for at most 2 weeks of the month. And so really give
well, you might physically have to be here, but you're not
planning.
anything.
And I know it's a hard commitment. There's so many caveats to that, because if you pull back on this, then you pull back on what they're getting. And I mean, I don't think we've said it, but we're not doing Sunday morning Bible class anymore for junior high and senior high youth. Partly because they're getting it on Wednesday nights, they're getting it on Sunday mornings. I mean, we're
Sunday morning worship.
in worship, yeah. If you do Bible class, you're beating the dead horse, which we know is can be a good thing, but we're trying to make this Wednesday night and Sunday night the focus. And I'm afraid that if you take a week off, you miss so much that it's kind of done. You know what I
Are you
mean?
talking about partnering college kids in or something, or is that not paying
Yeah, we're at the point now where we're identifying who's actually going to be here.
Right.
I mean, there were some students that were kind of on the
Who's
fence.
going to
and
Hartford?
Pardon me?
Kids who are going to go to Hartford?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
we got Lindita right there.
Dita is one of them that's has said she's going to come. And that's all we can ask. I mean, trust me, college days are busy enough the way it is.
Right.
I don't know yet. That's why I don't know.
Well, and then you add a job onto that and homework and, it's tough. And I mean, and for adults too. I mean, we're all busy. And I have not ever talked to a person and they're like, well, I got time to waste. I could do something. One person maybe, and that was because they retired and they were in the process of trying to figure out what they were going to do. But, an adult my age, I've never talked to one that goes, I wish I could find something to do. I just don't have anything to do with my days. We don't have that. I mean, if anything, if you talk to anybody, they're like, I'm so busy. Preach to the choir, yes, we are all so busy. The point is, though, is that if we all take a little bit, the load is much easier. And Matt and I are shouldering a lot. I mean, we're shouldering the most of it. But yet the more people that we can come in and take little parts of that, it's going to save us from not being dead by the end of the ministry year. We want Matt to actually graduate, become a pastor. And I have 2 grandchildren on the way that I'd really love to pieces. But I think you will benefit from it, and I think it's just going to be a great ministry. So it's just, finding the right people to put in place. And we also have a parent meeting next Sunday to really talk to the parents and say, you're passionate about this, we've heard you're passionate about this. Now, let's, put your actions where your words are, and if you're really as passionate about this, then what are you gonna do to make sure that that happens? That these things happen the way that you say you want them to happen, so. We'll see, so continually pray about it, but, yeah, so that's what's happening, with Ignite. Again, focus is gonna shift more on, Wednesday night. We've had a lot of conversations about, is this required? Yes, it's required as much as parents say that it's required. If this is something that you want your kids to be at, then yes, it's required for them to be at. If you want to confirm your faith, you've got to participate in the things that will help you create those habits where you will be ready to stand up and confirm your faith. I don't expect you to come and say, oh, I want to confirm my faith this spring and then not do anything about it. So if you're really serious about coming and growing your faith, yes, it's required for you to do these things. There's also going to be a serving component, which there's always been a serving component, but we really kind of pigeonholed students into two areas. And I'm going farther than what I wanted to do, but I think having the leaders know what we're doing, I think is important. So we pigeonholed them into acolyte or nursery. Those are the two ways that junior high students can help. And in discussions with Martha and other adults in the church, the remarks from them are, we don't see students doing anything in the church. We don't see them, like you'll see an acolyte up front. We haven't had acolytes all summer long. There's been kids here or there that have been acolyting, but by and large, we haven't had acolytes all summer long. People are busy, I get it. So what we're doing is students are becoming part of a regular ongoing ministry team. So I don't know if any of you are worship hosts or anything. So you would sign up to be on whatever worship team fits your schedule. And you would regularly be a part of that team. You might acolyte, you might not. You might be the person that stands at the door and welcomes people as they come in. You might be the person that hands out bulletins. You might be the person that does the offering plates. You might be the person that stands behind the altar and hands out the wine and the bread to the communion assistants. There's lots of things that you can do. The object is that A, they're getting connected with another group of adults and possibly other students that can help encourage them to grow in their walk of faith. And the other thing is that they become more involved in the workings of the worship service. So it's not just sitting up front in their little Ignite shirt, lighting the candles, but they're actively being a part, and through that, they're learning more of the parts of worship, and they're being part of the parts of worship. There's also an opportunity for students, if they want to, they can serve in the nursery, because we still need people that serve in the nursery. And there's also an opportunity for students to serve in Sunday school. We kind of touched on there's no Bible study on Sunday morning, and part of that too is that Sunday school attendance is really tanked for that age group. And what it's been is really kind of a placeholder for people. There's been students there that they're in Bible study, but their parents are in worship. Well, those kids should be in worship with their parents instead of sitting in Bible study. The Bible studies that are going to be offered are intergenerational Bible studies. If you've got a student that really wants to get into the Bible, they can still go to one of the two Bible studies that are being offered. They're planning them knowing that there might be students that show up there. They can actively serve during that time. Or, if your parents are going to 11 o'clock service and they're not going to Bible study, just stay home and sleep in and go to 11 o'clock service with your parents, and then come do Fuel on Sunday night and connect with your friends at that time. That enables us to focus our energies on Wednesday night and Sunday night, and not having this kind of off thing going. We're not quite sure what to do with them there, but they really need to be in worship and have an opportunity to serve. So that's what that's there. I'm sorry, I might have talked over my limit. I didn't mean to. I told you I'd get going. And
Who's next to sit down? I'm all good.
any questions about anything junior high or anything?
Small group,
Yeah.
highs and lows.
Highs and lows, yes. Yep.
So, yeah, on the material for that, when we say there's, so you're getting into content now, or what are we?
Should be, there we go, content now.
Okay. We'll go through it then.
Okay. So what did I sign up for? Take a look at page, I don't know, mine isn't laid out in a nice little binder.
And thank you, Matt, for writing all that. I could just take it and make it look pretty.
If you take a look at the very first one, the divine endorsement.
Go in this.
Which page do you guys use?
It's not a page number, it's the very first lesson. You'll see that all the lessons have a time frame that we recommend. So keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Yep, that way. That way you'll have a big page that'll say Bible studies. And right there, and then flip the next one, there you go.
All right, this what you're showing would be the same for Ignite More Fuel.
I think there's some little tweaks in the Ignite one, isn't there?
Yeah.
But for the most part, the layout is still the same.
The layout is still the same, activities might be changed a little bit, yeah, otherwise the layout's the same.
Okay. And so you'll open with an activity. So for fuel, the activity will be in a group, and as you can see, leading the blind. What we're going to do that night is the youth will pair up with another youth, or you'll have 3 in a group if you have an uneven number. They'll pair and they'll walk across the room of obstacles or around the building or however the Spirit moves you in a procedure so they're blind, but they have to go. But it's not leading, Benita, come here real quick. It's not leading them like you would a normal blind person. I'm not grabbing her and she's walking like this and I'm going like this. It's like this. Close your eyes. Okay, I'm going to guide you across the room. Walk straight. Turn right. No, the other left. There, now walk straight. No, stop. And I have to verbally, you can open your eyes now. I verbally have to walk her across, and you're doing that in a room full of 20 people. And so the idea there is to open your ears to really hear the person who's speaking to you. Wait a minute. Isn't that like trying to listen to God in the midst of everything else going on? Light bulb. For those of you who have seen Minions.
We're doing kind of the same thing, only we're putting obstacles in the way.
Okay. So, and we'll have obstacles there too.
Yeah.
But the idea is to get them across the room. That's opening activity. 15 minutes is all that's going to take. Then what we're going to do is on fuel nights, we will have an opening of that theme. So what we'll do is we'll gather together for a couple of songs, and then we will get into, okay, what is the divine endorsement? Well, here's what the readings say. Now, what does that mean for us? This in your small group is what we're going to talk about as we get closer to the idea of being divinely endorsed by God so that we trust Him. It's based on the theme, which is located on the top. We will trust Jesus because God literally said so. Okay? So that will be the opening. Then we will move to a small group time. And a small group time will take about 35 minutes. Notice I put 35, but I say about. Because you're never going to, at 35 minutes, if you have a great discussion going on, I don't just say, okay, stop, we're done. No. This is where the word really comes into effect. Go ahead.
This is September 11th, this one?
This is September 11th.
And so this is for the larger group, this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did you say, are we going to go to houses right away on the following week, or?
I'll get to that. That's going to be at the end. We'll
Okay.
talk about that. No worries. Then in your small group, you'll start with how did it feel to be blind? And then what was it like trying to give directions to a blindfolded person? So in other words, you're going to talk about that. And that gets you into, then read the Matthew chapters, or verses. I have a couple questions on that. Isaiah, a couple of questions on that. Romans, a couple of questions on that. These are the Bible passages. Then you have an application. And this is for you to read or take out and put into your own words. And you can see, if we start looking at the Isaiah passage, God promises a Savior. And I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. You guys are educated people. You can read. But it goes right through that. You see all the information there. You put it in your own words. But you get to that same point of, why do we believe? Because God said so. And then you have a group mission. And these are important. You'll have a mission, you'll have a service, and you'll have a praise. You'll have 2 of those 3 at least. And a group mission is, you can see in this one, this week, show your trust in Jesus. Talk to someone that you know that you do not know. Step out of your comfort zone and talk with someone that does not sit at your lunch table, or is different than you, or is not in the gang that you hang out with. Trust that Jesus will take care of you and is with you as you step out of your comfort area. And he goes into a little bit more about that. So you step out of your comfort zone. This is the mission of the week. This is what you're giving them the opportunity to do and put what we just learned into practice. Group service, which is not located in this one, I think it's actually the next one. Yes, if you turn the page under X-ray vision, group service, 5 minutes. As a group, read this. We're going to go through all of these things, praise God. Or group services, this week, let's as a group go do this. And you have a mass group service project. We have funds for you to use. So if you're doing a service project, you're going to go rake Grandma Sally's yard, because that's a great idea to put this into practice. I have money for you to do that. And you go rake Grandma Sally's yard, you put all of her leaves into her bag. I have a better one for you. You come rake Vicar Matt's yard, and put all the leaves into a bag, but that's your service project for the week. And you try to find a time where you can all get together. And then the final one is group praise. This week we're going to praise God in some way, shape, or form. And it's usually in a prayer. Most of the time it's led by you. Most of the time I do not have the words you're going to say. Because prayer is not a scripted thing. Prayer is a conversation. And so be sure that when you pray, you empower yourself as well as your youth to pray. And encourage them to talk to God. Because as they do that, they grow closer, and as they grow closer, things happen.
So can we walk through the continuum? So
Yeah.
the first...
Where are you at here? On
Fuel, on September 11th.
divine endorsement.
Yep.
Okay.
Divine endorsement is the lesson.
Okay.
Kids get here at 6:30. That's when we do this opening game.
The leading the blind. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Then we move into the group study. That's your small group time.
Well, the large group time, the gathering in the youth room, which is here for worship time. So that will be a time of song, worship, where I or Carl or somebody else, Dan, will open with, hey, this is what this is all about. And here's what we're talking about. And this is how this all interrelates. Now we're going to go discover it even more.
Okay. So that's the group, and that's going to be 35 minutes?
Group time is 35 minutes. So the opening game is 15. Then you have about 20 minutes for the gathering time in the youth room on a fuel night. And then you will have, I scheduled out about 45 minutes for the rest of the lesson to do in a small group.
So what it doesn't have on here is the 20 minutes
Right.
for the...
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm sorry,
No, that's okay.
I wrote these as if they were just Bible study, not thinking about large group time put in there.
You mean small group time, right?
Well, the large group, this we have, then we have large group for 20 minutes
Right.
of praise, and then this is the
This
small.
is the small.
Right.
group. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
And do you do small group then until 8:30?
We would do small group until 7:50.
Okay, and so then what takes you to 8:30?
Then after, from 7:50 to 8:30, we'll have a large group. What?
Laser tag.
Laser tag. Activities, laser tag, sardines.
Gargoyles.
I've heard about this.
So fun.
We'll have to play this.
Yes.
Until you get involved in laser tag. Once you get involved in laser tag, it's all downhill from there.
No,
We'll play about 40 minutes of a large group game, and then at 8:30 we'll come together for a closing prayer.
Yeah, and Meg Jane, what's the brief timeline or?
So the brief timeline is, each week for us will be the same. I know for you guys, that's your large group week.
Right.
Your small group weeks are different. Are you
Right.
going to 8:30 on your small group weeks, or?
We'll go until they want to stop.
Okay.
We encourage 6:30 to 8:30.
So we're doing the same thing every week, we're not doing large group, small group time. So like from 6:30 until probably I don't know, junior high kids takes longer to move. I would say like 20 minutes for the opening game. And then we'll do probably 15 to 20 minutes for opening, prayer time, kind of, here's where we're going, this is what our theme is. And then do probably about a half an hour for small group time.
It's like 7:15 to 7:30, somewhere in that range, don't go into small groups.
Yeah, so you'll do small groups till like, from 7:10, 7:15 until like 7:45. Or till the end of that time, unless there's a game. Now when you go look through your lessons, you'll see a lot of them, where he's talking about surveying and everything. We go back and do another like large group activity.
So about a half hour small group time is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, like 7:15 till probably about 7:45, yeah. And I didn't put specific times on mine just because I know junior high students don't always move at the pace that you want them to.
And I know senior hires don't either, but if I get a relative, I'm a scheduled person,
Yeah.
it helps. If you look at page 13 in the book here, and you can keep your hand on the lesson, it just gives you kind of the format. Some weeks there will be memory work, it'll be listed at the top of your lesson. Then you have the biblical connection, that's the foundational part of it. Or the connection, I'm sorry, is the, hey, what are we doing? Then you have the study, then you go into service, then mission, then praise. Okay, those are the words, so you can look at it on the screen. You got memory work, group connection, study, and group praise. Those three will happen every week. Every week, those will be in there without a shadow of a doubt. You can put $1 million down on the table and bet me. Now I'm writing a lesson, so if I want $1 million, I'll write one out there. But the idea is still sound. Those three will be in there every week. Group service and group mission will be interchangeable in the fuel lessons. Okay? So they may or may not be there. I think I have a room full of very confused people.
So on the service,
Yes.
so that's a time that you plan the service, that's not when you do the service.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Now, with that said, you could. I mean, if it's something simple like, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes and we're going to pack care packages for our college students. Boom, 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 boom. Done.
And might you ever replace, let's say, a game with just do service for that?
We could.
Yeah.
We could. I hadn't thought that far in front of it.
Yeah.
My goal and hope is that they would happen in the small groups. And the group service, the large group service we would do is either plan something for a week that I don't have on the schedule, or we focus more on the mission trips, allowing those small groups of people to do it. Because if you get 30 people raking a yard, that's great, but that sometimes is an overkill. So, that's all I'm thinking.
Would you ever replace a small group night with a service?
For the big idea, probably not. Only because we want to stay on the same path
Yeah.
and same learning standard.
Okay.
But is there a way to do that?
We are doing that.
Yeah.
We are doing.
You are.
Yeah, and if you look at the Ignite one, just because we'll do like a night going to, Union Threads or something, we'll find a way to tie the lesson in, or, this will be like a lesson on the go or something where we'll do it, but, trying to fit some of that in, so instead of doing, and the only one I have scheduled so far is November 16th. Going into next year, I haven't specifically done dates for that yet, but it could be for junior high that opening activity, instead of it being a game, is, like last year we packaged meals for Good Sam. We did emergency food bags, and that's something that takes 20 minutes for them to do. So, I think, if you wanted to do some of those quick, like this is something that each group can have. And I knew Carl's wife Susan did that for us last year, where she got all the supplies and brought everything here, and then we just had to do it.
Yeah.
So those, there's quick and easy stuff like that you can do in your group.
So then, okay. So the Ignite serving, we would do mainly here, unless we plan
And unless we plan
a
on.
large group where everyone goes
And we would
somewhere.
always, I don't want to say always, 99% of the time we will gather here
Okay,
and then go.
okay.
Yeah.
And then fuel, so then fuel, you start September 11th. That's the large group format that we just walked through
Right.
here. When it's small groups, so the very next week, that small group, you're meeting at the leader's house, you're following this lesson, and you're doing the big idea.
Okay, yes and no.
Okay.
This is what Carl was alluding to. I think what we're going to do is, so that the small groups can get established, and this came out of a leadership group that I met with, we're going to do large group here, and then small groups are going to meet here in the different rooms. We'll get together afterwards and play a game or something like that. We'll still meet at 6:30. There just won't be any mass group event, mass opening like we've done in I guess, here in Route 9. So it'll just be small groups. We'll have classrooms open for everybody to use. You can go in, use the classroom, and then when your small group's done, we can get together and play a large group game or something, just till the groups get established. Then come November 13th, unless groups want to start meeting in the homes, November 13th would be the date that the building will not be open for small groups on a Sunday night unless absolutely necessary.
So starting in November, the only time fuel will be here is the first Sunday. of the
First Sunday of
month.
the month.
Other than that, there won't be.
They will be
anything
meeting
here
in
on
small
Sunday.
groups.
So usually all the small groups will here, September.
Yes.
And it's at the individual leader's house, right? So you're not having, or are you having everyone, is it Carl's week to host the small groups and they're each in your individual?
Yeah, it would be Carl's week to have his small group. But let's say that Carl's like, okay, I want it here this week, or my house isn't big enough to house everyone. So this week, maybe we meet at Jenny's house, or we meet at Matt's house, or we meet at Dave's house, or Dan's house, and we can meet in different spots. Or if someone has a massive house that they want to meet at, but the adult doesn't want to be a group leader, Carl can go there and lead the group at that house.
The small group leader has to organize where that small group is going to be meeting.
Usually you can ask that on the very first night and say like, whose house, anybody willing to host? And I know for a fact my daughters are like, we will, because they know that mom and dad always have soda and cookies at the house for everybody. So it's real simple. The reason this came about is I watched Whackers had a small group in their home all summer long. And you were there,
Yeah.
and it went very, very well. My girls couldn't wait to go to small group every week. So it's a neat process that I've seen done in King of Kings in Omaha too.
Yeah, my sons are in home group.
Okay.
They absolutely love it. I just wanted to know.
Yeah.
I agree with you. It brings a level of intimacy and relationship that is hard to duplicate in
Right.
your environment. So I'm definitely an advocate of that. I was just trying to understand how
Nope.
it works.
And I'm glad you're asking the questions. I'm glad I'm able to explain it, and I hope I'm at least explaining it in a way you can understand.
Yeah.
If you take a look, we've already done the sessions, questions. If you take a look at the blue sheet, and I want to walk through this, I am going to go through the fuel part. Jenny has kind of already done the Ignite part of it, but I think if you want to start, or you want me to start, or we can just tag team on
Blue
it.
sheet, then what's the blue sheet, the calendar?
The calendar.
Oh, okay, sorry, I don't have my sheets in front
Well,
of me.
see, now, I did mine color coded, and as a colorblind guy,
I'm not full of sheets.
this is going online, I'm just letting you know that. You can see September and October there, large group, small group. The 23rd of October is the trip to the corn maze. Then we move down November, December.
We're going to the corn maze too, so it's a big junior high, senior high corn maze trip.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to plan a message in the corn maze? Like,
I hadn't thought that far ahead, I didn't know that they'd done that, yeah.
okay.
we can definitely do that, especially if I got someone with an acoustic ability, we can have a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, just even like a 10, 15 minute thing, like, it's really a lot of good fits there, and I think it's sometimes,
Oh.
and we reserve a spot, we have our own spot there, and our own fire there.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. That's great, we can definitely do something. Yes.
Where's the Christmas party? Is it here?
It'll be here. We'll meet in either a small group or a large group on the 4th. That is yet to be determined, but you will find that out before the 3rd. And then we'll have a Christmas party here. I don't know what that looks like. I've got to find out more about what's going on, but
It's great.
that's what I heard. It's great. You'll see February 10th, 11th, and 12th is a youth retreat. They've done this in the past. There's going to be a little change to that this year because we're going to do both girls and boys at this retreat. We're going to separate them and then bring them back together for the ending. It will probably be something on the lines of dating or relationships or something like that, and then bring them back together for the end. And then May 7th will be the end of the year celebration. We will do small groups, and then the idea is during the summer, the small groups will stay together. And my hope and prayer is that the older students in the group will at that point be able to lead the group, especially the junior and senior age youth will be able to lead that group together instead of having an adult there. So maybe, if you're hosting a small group at your house, let's say, all you have to do is sit back and make sure they're on task, and the girls lead the group because they're taking care of everything. We'll have curriculum together for them if they want to follow it, or we'll just have a list of questions for every week. Maybe 5 questions. How was your week? What'd you do? Where'd you see God? Read this passage or something like that. That's a year away.
And both the question for Ignite and Fuel, are you doing like Fuel, Ignite, are you doing 6th, 7th, and 8th girls together? And are you doing freshman through senior together? Are you guys breaking it up?
We will divide by age. We will go 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th
So you
grade.
have the leader.
And boys separate,
leader
girls
separate.
separate.
Okay,
Yeah.
so same, okay.
Yeah.
Gender-wise, we're not sure, but I think we'll go with freshman, sophomore together, junior, senior together. The age groups seem to be better off. I think as genders go, I think it really depends on the group. And at that point, it's tough to determine. You can do it all.
So you're thinking of putting them together?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've done it in the past, and it hasn't been a problem. And in talking with your son, Matt, and as I said, certain youth it will go well with, certain youth it won't go well with. And it depends on the topic, it depends on the youth, and it depends on the maturity of them. One of the churches that I went to had small groups going. And they would have nailed me to the wall and duct taped my head to it if I would have split the genders up. Because this group had been so connected for so long that there was not a way that you were going to separate them. My freshmen, sophomores, I had to genderly separate them because the boys were just too immature for the girls. Sorry guys, it's fact of life. So that is yet to be determined. I'm still praying on that and seeing it and taking counsel from Carl and you and Dan and everybody else I come in contact with and trying to decipher what will be best. I'm leaning towards gender separate, but in the same respect, if you're talking about dating, you never get the other side of it until you talk with them. Yeah.
It could work, but for as long as I've been here, at least we've always been gender separate.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but about the talking to the other one, it's with the exception to the last year, we've always had one night that's around Valentine's where it's literally we separate groups into genders and then we come up with a list of questions and then come back and just face each other and ask them. So
Well,
if
and
we
that's-
want to do that on retreat.
That's what I think the retreat's going to be.
That's a good idea.
That was one of the most enlightening.
Cool.
Especially for families, I have 2 boys,
Mm-hmm.
right, to get a girls' perspective.
They need
but
a girl's
I know that
perspective.
they would not, I know my kids' personalities. My oldest would be very animated in a small group and very expressive and share for a group he's close with, but if there was girls in there, he wouldn't stay at me.
And again, it depends on the group. Freshman, sophomore, junior, I wouldn't have talked. You couldn't have given me money and I wouldn't have talked. As a senior, I'd have been more open. When I hit college, it didn't matter. So it depends on the person. It really does, and that's where I'm struggling with. So I do want to make a special note of summer. We will have 2 mission trips during the summer. There will be a domestic mission trip here within the continental United States of America. We are going to go with group work camps this year. They do all the planning. We just have to get there. And to me,